Girls of Reddit, what are the least successful ways a guy has tried to impress you? Back in high school when flip phones were cool, a boy who liked me would put his phone on the floor with the antenna out and then stomp the antenna so it would flip the phone up and catch it. The last time he missed and just straight stomped his phone to bits. Oh man, my wife's best friend has a good one, but I don't know if she is on here and it's pretty difficult to not mention. So she goes on this date with a dude who looked like a model. Gorgeous would be the word I may have heard. Anyway, they go on this date. They get in her car, and he just takes his dong out and starts jacking it. She's like, what the frick are you doing? And he just looks at her like a magician trying to wow her. She doesn't give any way though, and she's pretty pee. He gets upset and utters this phenomenal phrase, PFFT, you're just like the others. Which means that he has done this before. There is some good looking dude who just goes on dates and jacks off in their car and wonders why no one likes him. This guy tried to impress me at a bar by telling me how he worked in the military. He had that kind of braggy attitude that makes people uncomfortable. Telling me how he's trained to kill and knows how to use so many weapons, and fly this and drive that, and knows hand-to-hand combat. I mean, I don't know anyone in the military, so who was I to say that some people didn't behave like that, but it seemed socially. He then accidentally dropped his dog tags on the ground, which also seemed weird. Who brings their dog tags to a bar, and also aren't you supposed to wear them? Anyways, I was quicker to picking them up. He made a big deal about me looking at them, saying I wasn't even supposed to touch them. As I was handing them back, it clearly said made in China stamped on the back. You know, he probably didn't make it past boot camp. No joke, the first time I was ever hit on, that I realized what was happening. I was 16. I had just gotten off my first day of work at a theme park and was sitting at a picnic table in a gazebo waiting for my mom to pick me up. This kid, about 16 or 17 that I have never met before, walks over to me, takes off his shirt saying, "Man, is it hot out here?" and then proceeds to ignore all of the other empty picnic table in the gazebo and start doing push-ups on mine. Yes, push-ups, on the table that I'm sitting at, shirtless. While he is doing these push-ups, he is asking me all kinds of questions. What department I work in, how did I like it, blah blah blah. Then he jumps off the table, still talking to me, and starts doing pull-ups from the edge of the gazebo. I'm awkwardly averting my eyes because, well, this is freaking awkward, but I'm also trying to be nice and not ignore him, something I would do now. Finally my mom gets there. I can see her laughing in the car, wiping tears from her eyes. Before I get up, shirtless dude sits real close to me and asks, "So can I get your number?" And I reply, I mean, if you want to be friends." He didn't. Thank goodness. Haha, oh my gosh, I love that your mom was just hysterically laughing in the car watching the whole debacle. After bringing me every type of soda from the school vending machine, despite being told numerous times that I can't drink soda, he pulled up a song on his phone and blasted it on full volume. He told me of how he understood the Japanese lyrics and the romance they held because love was a language spoken through raw emotions and could be understood by all. And of course, how the song represented our love. It was pretty cringeworthy. Oh yeah, and he also told me that he didn't normally date Russian chicks. I have blonde hair, so obviously I'm Russian, because they are so strong and tough that they overwhelm his manliness. But I was an artistic goddess who could set him free. These are just the highlights. He did this stuff every day on the bus for an entire semester. Man, people are weird. Reading entire pages from a book written in Latin over a dinner date in a thick Italian accent because that's the way it most likely sounded, without translating anything, until I was about ready to fall asleep. I wrote off all classics majors after that date. ETA. I tried bringing up some of my research after this. He tells me he doesn't believe nothing can travel faster than the speed of light because take radio waves, for example. They travel at the speed of sound, faster than light. This happened to me. I was at a bar and the bartender asked me to pass him a chair over the bar. They do this when the bar gets crowded, and so I thought I'd impress the girl I was talking to by doing it with one hand. I ended up knocking the drink out of her hand and onto her dress, immediately trying to catch the drink while forgetting I was still holding onto the chair, dropping the chair on another guy who then proceeded to do what I attempted to do with ease. I just walked home. Classic mistake. You're supposed to apologize and attempt to wipe her off with cocktail napkins. Had a guy ask me to his prom. I was 10 and had never met him before. He asked me by buying me a candy bar while I was waiting for my mom to check out in the grocery store. I was creeped out. My mom thought it was hilarious. On our first date, about 10 minutes in, he told me that everyone always said that he gave the best foot massages and asked if I wanted one. I told him over and over again that I don't like my feet touched, but he wouldn't relent. So I finally said fine. Cue what feels like him literally trying to break my foot. Ended up with bruises. When I was 18, waiting tables, a much older man used to come in and sit in my section a lot. One day he brought in his daughter, who was probably 6, and introduced me to the daughter as mommy. He told me he knew I was the commitment type and said he said I was worth the best thing he had to offer. It was cringeworthy. That right there is when I'd leap through an unopened window. In my first conversation with this guy, he told me, or better yet boasted, about how he could smell when women were ovulating, and how women had a specific glow about them during those few days in their menstruation cycle. I nope the frick out of there. The smell attracts bears. It's a tie between the guy that would tell me stories of generally being a dong and following up with I know I'm an butthole, but at least I'm honest, right? And the guy that told me the story of how he drove the only girl out of his wow guild by getting everyone to refer to her as a talking vagina, but she totally deserved it because she had a high-pitched voice. This guy is half of the reason why women don't play video games at the same rate as men. This guy once sent me a video of him ejaculating and pointing out how copious it was. We were taking a fitness class together and I'd never even talked to him much. What kind of primal erotic crap is this? I'm a guy, and this girl I liked was really into computer programming. So, I spent a few weeks learning Java and I created a program and showed it to her in hopes that she would be impressed. All she did was fix an error I had and said nice try. Well, at least you learned Java. Yesterday I was at a water park with my sister and our younger cousin. Sister and I were looking at stupid crap on her phone when my cousin goes, hey, that guy was doing pull-ups on that tree and was just intensely staring at the both of you. He apparently managed to get 3 whole pull-ups done and got ants on his hands. Here's to you, weird pull-up guy. I don't know what you were thinking, but you managed to earn yourself a Reddit comment. Here's to you, weird pull-up guy. Real American heroes. Literally showing me a video he posted on Facebook of him doing a leg press in the middle of the club dance floor. I just stared at him as one would stare at a pet who just crap on the rug. Geez, not even a squatting or deadlift video, a goddamn leg press. Bragging about how much liquor he could handle and then attempting to prove it. To be fair, he handled a lot of liquor, but it doesn't help that it made him belligerent enough to get physically thrown out of the bar. Handling one's liquor doesn't mean not puking or being able to stand. It means handling the whole scenario, including not being a violent dickhead. Had a guy take me on a date to a pool hall so he could show off how great a pool player he was. Kept mouthing off about trick shots and English. I let him win a game to see how he played, then smoked him 4 games in a row. Dude had no defensive game. I've had a pool table in my house since I was 5, and my dad used to do trick shots in pool halls to win extra money in college. OMG this. My friend and I like to practice pool at the same 2 bars when we were young. You could tell the new guys, wanting to show us how to play, we cleaned their clocks and put dents in their wallets. Poor adults never got more than a smile. They usually found another bar. The old guys thought it was hilarious and gave them crap. I was walking with a couple of my girlfriends when a guy on a motorcycle passed us. As he drove by, he revved his engine and proceeded to take a sharp turn too fast and ditched his bike. He took off his helmet as he stood up and brushed himself off, picked up his bike, then he put his helmet back on. Only, he tried to put his helmet on backwards at first. My friends and I are not mean-spirited, so we managed to keep a straight face until he drove away. Then we laughed our asses off. Poor guy. Was it Tom Cruise? I've killed a man. He had. He told me it was proof I could do it again, and it got me the frick out of the date ASAP. I'm a man who once tried to impress a girl by doing a commando roll across a cinema car park after watching a James Bond film. ripping my jeans and hurting my knee in the process. I was 14 and working at a coffee stand on an army base. A soldier came in and started hitting on me, not realizing how old I was. I told him my age and expected that he would give me an awkward apology and walk away. Instead, he told me that I was lying. It took some of my regulars coming in and convincing him that I was really 14. Instead of awkwardly apologizing and going away, he came by every day to ask if I was legal yet. Let me tell you, nothing says flattering quite like a creepy older guy who plans to basically stalk you at work for the next 4 years until you turn 18. It's always great when a large strong man who's been trained to kill becomes a pedo stalker. I met a guy via online dating. We went to dinner. He was telling me how much he loved one of my photos on the site. So much, he said. He hung it up so he could see it while in the shower and he was masturbating to it. Hey, now, this guy's got a printer. He texted me every hour or so every day for almost a month, then asked me out over text. When I declined, he said something along the lines of, well, it doesn't have to be a date. We could go as friends and see if anything happens. See, I can be accommodating. After another month of this, I made a Google Voice account and told him I changed my number. It's been almost 3 years and I still get texts, phone calls on that number. Anyways, he ended up dating my friend, flirted with me incessantly, cheated on her with multiple girls, not me. The two broke up. He asked me out again, then nearly got arrested for threatening to beat up a few kids. But hey, he's super accommodating. A guy approached me out of the blue on Facebook and was like, oh, you have pretty eyes, and I said thanks, and he follows up with, do this personality test, tell me your score and I'll let you know if we can continue this conversation. He's not trying to impress you, he's trying to get your personal info. A stranger tried to schmooze me by talking me up about where he worked and flashing me a wad of cash. I probably would have just thought it was funny if he hadn't also grabbed me and tried to kiss me. We were in a public place and everyone was staring. When we were dating, my husband bought a little box of chocolates for me but had already eaten half of them because he wanted to try them too. I still make fun of him for it. Not my story, I'm a dude, but my ex's. Once we were recalling old dates and she said that this guy she was having coffee with casually dropped a condom from his wallet while going for the register. Now, not only this is sleazy, but also counterproductive. Guys, never store condoms in your wallet, it will get worn down. Oh whoops, I dropped my monster condom for my magnum dong. I was out for drinks with some old friends, and moments after discussing my boyfriend of 1 year at a time, nearly 3 years now, this guy takes my phone, messages some rude crap to my boyfriend, takes several attractive photos of himself, and then when I finally get my phone back, follows me about for the rest of the night trying to sneak hold my hand. It was the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Rock climber here. A guy at the climbing gym thought it would be cool to follow me around and give me helpful advice on how to climb each route. I'm stronger than he is. He didn't know what he was talking about. He was wearing rental climbing shoes. As a rock climber, I've seen countless dudes try this method. When I was a waitress, I had a customer hit on me. I was nice, but kind of brushed it off. Usually, guys would take the hint after I didn't seem very interested in the first attempt, but this guy kept at it again. I went ahead and explained clearly that I wasn't interested and that I was happily married. I totally expected that to be the end of it. Nope. For his third attempt he tried, but I've got a Jeep. Somehow he thought him having a Jeep was going to be the thing that turned it all around and would sweep me off my feet. I could possibly have understood his logic if he had a vehicle that was something really impressive, something that's an obvious status symbol, something that might be a slightly more indirect way of saying hey, I'm rich, and might work if I were a gold digger and he was cool with that. Like I would have gotten but I've got a Bentley, or but I've got a Maserati or something. But a Jeep? Really? Out of all the last ditch selling points he could come up with, that was the one he tried? I can't help but wonder if he'd ever tried that one before and it actually worked on someone. It's a Jeep thing. You wouldn't understand. Telling me what a beautiful Asian I was. B. How great Asian women are. C. How he'd love to date an Asian. D. That Asian women age so well compared to his people, and E. How he totally had yellow fever. I felt my entire family tree shudder. Let me tell you about Healy's guy. I'm at my university, waiting for the crosswalk to change, when out of the corner of my eye I notice this guy walking towards my location from the other side of the intersection. He has a skater helmet on, not clipped, just kind of hanging there too cool for safety, and is skidding on, of course, Heelys. He stops about a foot from me and just stares, me, can I help you? HG, yeah you can stop raping me with your eyes, me, alrighty then, HG, also you can give me your number, me, yeah, that's not happening. At this point the crosswalk signal changed and I started to walk away. HG, who had just been staring at me, red-eyed, most definitely high out of his mind at noon on a Monday, then grabs the back of a scooter and is heeling across the intersection to follow me. When he gets to the end of the intersection, he lets go of the moped, as the driver is yelling at him, and pretends to trip, and he falls on the ground, and his helmet rolls away because it wasn't clipped on. Me. Sigh, are you okay? HG. No, cause you rejected me. Cue me walking away and trying unsuccessfully not to laugh. In college, I lived in an apartment building that was extremely close to an old original building on the block where my friend lived. He and I were just friends at the time, but I knew he was interested. I had just been out riding my bike and was walking my bike up the steps to the stoop in front of our doorway. There was about a 7-10 foot gap between our stoop and the porch of this old building. Unbeknownst to me, my friend was, in his mind, cleverly trying to sneak up on me, Spider-Man style, by nimbly jumping from the porch to our stoop while I got out my keys. However, his plan went awry, and he fell with an inaudible cry in between the two buildings, about 12-15 feet. I casually entered my apartment with my bike as usual. 2 minutes later, I hear a knock. I see my friend, battered knees and elbows, looking rather sheepish. I'm confused and concerned. Then he tells me what happened, in front of my roommates, all mutual friends, and we die laughing. Poor guy. Of course, we bandage him up and give him a beer for his troubles. LOL. Showing me his tattoos of various My Little Ponies. He was so excited to show me, he thought I was going to be blown away by it. Cat called me every day on my jogging route for a week. Creepy as frick. After the second or third day, I was like, I'm not going to let some loud intimidate me away from my favorite route, so I kept going. But I drew the line when he actually tried to grope me. Now I go in the complete opposite direction. Pisses me the frick off. I drew the line when he actually tried to grope me. Now I go in the complete opposite direction. Probably should have called the cops. That's sexual assault. I knew this guy from Tumblr, but he was acquaintances with friends of mine, so it was all good. We added each other on Snapchat. He would snap me something, and I usually don't feel like replying, to which he would Snapchat back saying boo-hoo, you hate me. WTF dude, no, but don't say crap like that. After a while he decided it was a good idea to send me pictures and videos of his half-erect dong, when we hadn't even had a full conversation yet. Not impressed. So I sent him pictures of banana cutters and wiener cutters. Edit. After I sent him those pictures, he proceeded to send me death threats, because how dare I send him those pictures, am I right? I was in an art class with a guy and we were doing Linecut printmaking. You have to use this really sharp implement to carve your image, and my teacher reminded us daily to keep our hands out of the way. Of course, I managed to gouge my fingers. This guy grabs my hand and sticks my bleeding fingers in his mouth. After he released me, he said, your blood is sweet, and went on to tell me it was the sweetest he'd ever tasted. What the actual frick? Mine from a thread a bit ago. Oh, this is going to get buried, but I just have to share. I'm 15, at a church retreat with other 15-year-olds. Ick now. I once broke my arm a few years ago. Oh huh. I'm sorry. Yeah, we were living in Russian at the time. They took me in to have it sprayed, but they almost forgot to give me the lead vest. I express confusion, as I have never had a broken bone or an x-ray. Well, it keeps the radiation from getting to the body, sensitive parts of the body especially, if you know what I mean. It can mess up performance, but they did remember the vest, so, just so you know, I'm still all functional down there. He gives me a thumbs up, fastest I've ever tried to escape a conversation. It's glorious. How could that have not worked? I mean, come on, your heart must be made of ice. 1. You are so beautiful. Your face is like a tomato. The skin is all smooth and soft. Can I touch your skin? No? Oh. Well, can I paint you then? I want to give you a camera so you can take photos of yourself and see how beautiful you are. Random guy on a bus. 2. Set up on a date once. Date arrives 2 hours late. Don't ask me why I was still hanging around. Proceeds to tell me he needs to buy some new jeans. We go to a store. He tries on the jeans and decides he likes them. We queue. At the checkout he looks over at me and says, "Oh crap, I've forgotten my wallet in the car. Would you mind paying?" I paid. 3. Your face is round like a football. Said whilst drunk off his face and scaling a bridge over not so troubled water. I can feel this one. Helicopter penis. Turns out my wife is in no way impressed when I perform the helicopter penis maneuver. My girlfriend, however, finds it enthralling. Not quite a proper answer, but on topic. When my wife and I were first dating, she was walking to work. I wasn't present. When some sleazy looking guy pulled up in his car and made a gesture for her to come over, she gave him a look that would burn permanent holes in the wings of Satan, and he drove off. Enraged with disgust, she entered the office while fuming, and sat down to rant about it on Facebook. There she saw a message from the guy, who was actually a friend of mine she'd met a few nights before. He was offering a ride. Told me the only reason he hadn't asked me out yet was because I seemed like I had a man back at home taking care of me. Asked me out anyway, and when I said no, proceeded to tell me that if you were living in DC you'd be all over me. I got hundreds of numbers when I was in DC. I told him he should probably go back to DC. Me and my boyfriend bike together very often and he always does wheelies to win my heart. He says he thinks it's a really great idea. Wheelies for her feelies. A guy had a journal that was filled with poems about me. Pages of I love you written over and over. Stories in excruciating detail of how we'd spend the rest of our lives together, and he even had drawn pictures of what our children would look like. Every page was dated. This man wrote in it every day for a year. I had no idea about it until he gave it to me for my birthday. I'm a guy, but here goes. This was about 12-13 years ago. I was on a second or third date with a girl and we were getting the subway back to the city. The transport complex had those long, steep escalators that take an age to travel down. For some ridiculous reason, I thought I'd channel Arthur Fonzarelli and sit on the moving banister as the escalator descended. I immediately knew that it was a bad idea when I started to slip downward, but in that moment's indecision I already felt that it was too late to back out and thought to myself, okay, I guess I'm doing this. You all know what happened next. As I began to pick up momentum, every little adjustment of balance butterfly affected me wildly to either side, and about halfway down I lost control, fell off, and tumbled down the rest of the escalator stairs. Yeah, good thing escalator stairs are made from soft plush carpeting, or you could have really been hurt. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.